Earth wants us to know that she is healthy and vibrant. She says not to fear. The time to come in closer is now. She says to trust the ground beneath our feet. And the music was just mind-blowing. We had these like workshops all day, these journey experiences all day, connective conversations all day. And then in the evening, it was like from 10 p.m. to sometimes 5, 6 a.m. I never stayed up that late, but it was like music and party and dancing and not just like there was no alcohol served at this event. People were definitely using substances, but it was, you know, the purpose was not to party. It was a very spiritually, at least in my experience, I think different people can have different experiences at the same gathering event. In my experience, it was not a party place. Even the dance, even the party space was very spiritually guided. The music artists that I got to see and interact with are people that I have been listening to and following for quite a while on my journey. They're people that I look to, that I feel a deep spiritual resonance just through listening to their music. And so to have like front row standing space to just be like jamming out with these amazing performers who I'm like 6 feet away from, so mind-blowing. And you know, we're in this rural area, and so these people stayed with us. One of them stayed with us the whole weekend, and that was part of what made this space so amazing and incredible. It's because it's bringing in artists and creators. We're not just providing service to one another. It was like we were co-creating together. And so even these musicians who are used to, you know, performing in front of thousands of people, they became part of the experience in a different way. We were peers together. We were co-creators together. Their offering was art and music as a way of helping us connect into our spirits and souls. Other people were offering meditation and healing and body work and other kinds of ways of connecting deeper into that. And it just became so clear to me how we're all playing a role in this, and how artists and creators are helping to support that as well, and also really need community themselves. They need people to understand the depths of what they're offering. They need to know that their visions that they're channeling into their art are seen and connected with by other people. That it's not a situation of like, I am observing you and you're doing a performance for me, but that we're in this together, and I recognize this is your co-created offering and I have a co-created offering that I'm providing in return. I was just blown away by seeing Deadova in person. She is a fucking powerhouse. I actually didn't capture any videos while she was performing because I tried to find my phone and I just couldn't find it, and I took that as a message from the universe of like, I just need to be really present with this. But oh my gosh, if you can check out, you know, look at YouTube. I'm sure she's got some performances out there. Just listen to her music. That's exactly what it sounds like when she's performing in person. She's from Australia, and she travels around to different areas of Earth to tune in to these different energetic pockets, to listen, practice really deep listening to Earth. Listen to the messages and the inspirations and the feelings that are coming up for her, and then translate that into song, into voice, into her message. What she hears from Earth again and again and again is that Earth is vibrant, Earth is healthy, that we can turn this whole thing around. We do not have to catastrophize about climate change. We just have to make smart, conscious decisions and work in partnership with Earth. And stop pretending like we're the only intellectual beings who are on this planet who know what needs to happen, because we don't know. We're part of nature too, and in fact our brains hold us back in a lot of ways, and to instead be in a symbiotic relationship with Earth. And so, you know, the music is the way. Her music is the way that she does that. Her music is the way that she provides hope and healing and power and empowerment in what it means to co-create and collaborate and create a different sort of healing environment. One of her very clear messages was, she told us, we have risen golden ages before. As a human species, we have risen golden ages before, and we can choose to do that. We can choose to do that again. I feel that in my heart and my soul. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, golden ages, again, Google it. It's these previous times in our human history that goes beyond what we learn about in human textbooks, because human history does not date back to colonialism. Colonialism is like one tiny point in the broader scope of human history that has existed for millions of years. When we zoom out of our current context, we can see that there's a lot to be hopeful for. We can see that human species have overcome worse than where we're at right now. We can see that the impossible can be made possible with passion, with commitment, with balance, with relationality. On our final day, I was really deeply impacted by being able to listen to a panel of Indigenous women to talk about whatever they wanted to share with us, really. And that was the continued message, that was the continued theme, that it is time for us all to come together to learn how to work in right relationship, to honor and uphold and respect the wisdom that comes from Indigenous voices, to look to Indigenous spaces for leadership of how do we reestablish, how do we come back into balance and right relationship with earth and with nature. We were told that spirituality is the roots of what ended up becoming politics in this country. I teach about this. I'm going to butcher the name. I can't remember how to say the name right now, but the U.S. Constitution is actually modeled off of an Indigenous peace agreement that happened between different nations. So spirituality is underneath the roots of our political systems. It's just in our colonial reality, we have really twisted it and really gotten out of whack, primarily in misunderstanding ourselves as separate and different from nature. Therefore, spirituality has the message of what it means to restore, what it means to move back into right relationship. And what is spirituality? Spirituality is getting closer to what it means to be a human spirit. Spirituality means a broader understanding of our connection with earth, with nature, with the world around us, with our purpose. To me, my spirituality is recognizing myself as a nature being, and therefore getting my information and my guidance from a much different source of information than, colonized reality, than traditional education systems, than normative ways of being in this culture. Key pieces I'm walking away with are indigenization and rematriation. To me, that's the direction that we're headed. To me, that's where we need to keep going, is reestablishing what it means to live in recognition of ourselves as Indigenous to Earth, reestablishing a relationship and a balanced listening to Indigenous wisdom and Indigenous cultures and what they have been trying to tell white settler colonizers since day one. It's a recognition that Earth is ancient, that Earth knows way more than we do, and that when we can listen and respond and work in right relationship, we don't have to even figure it out. We can learn from Earth. We can trust the natural healing cycles, and that healing happens when we restore environmental circumstances to allow it. We were told that if we stopped, the bad, harmful climate change influencing practices now, that it would take thousands of years for Earth to naturally restore herself and fully heal from what we've done. But when we work in balance, in right relationship, when we use tools like algae, when we use the mangroves, when we work with water, when we protect our resources and our rainforests and the Amazon and our natural pockets of Earth here, when we do those things, we amplify and we fast track that healing. And that, to me, is what it means to be human. That, to me, is the mission that we have of being stewards on this planet, is to recognize that healing is possible, that healing is inevitable when we stop inflicting the trauma and the harm, and also that we can do a lot to amplify and fast track that healing process. We all have a role to play, and through going deeper inside, through awakening ourselves, through coming in contact with our inner spirit, we can use plant medicine for that. We can use breath work for that. We can use meditation for that. We can use reading and just mindfulness and exploration of spirituality for that. When we deepen into a more expansive understanding of what it means for us to be and to be here, that's when we find ourselves in alignment with a direction of healing Earth. That's when we find our purpose. That's when we find our passion. That's when we find the power and the potency and the medicine that we particularly can offer to the healing process. When we can work with humans to heal from the wounds of trauma, the use of plant medicine and things like MDMA are really promising in this regard. We were told that by 2070, it's possible for us to have a world of net zero trauma, where, traumas continue to happen, but by changing the way that we respond to trauma, by offering services, by offering support that can actually help contextualize what people have gone through, by using plant medicine as teachers and facilitators and guides in that work, we no longer have to exist in a world where PTSD continues on after the trauma. People in the trauma revolution have been talking about this already. The fact that animals don't experience PTSD the way we as humans do. We carry trauma in our bodies for decades, sometimes our whole life, that we don't end up healing because of the broader social and cultural context around us. When we shift our culture, when we can heal trauma, when we can work with the ocean, when we can work with land, when we see ourselves as nature, we're talking about a totally different playing field of what it means to be Earth on the planet. We're talking about totally different life purposes. We're talking about totally different day-to-day existences. And that is restoring right balance. That is what it means to bring Earth back into a healing rhythm. That is what it means to be part of that as humans. So I am leaving just feeling like so enthused and connected to my purpose and aligned with a broader network and spectrum of people who are doing amazing, impactful, incredible work. That's like only a tiny snippet, a taste of what I experienced in this 4-day weekend. I've talked to you about it for an hour now, so I've shared a lot, and it's only still just scratching the surface. I think that's just the biggest thing I want to communicate in this video, is just to have hope. Don't let yourselves fall victim to the belief that hope is fruitless. Don't let yourselves fall victim to the belief and the assumption that the way things are now is the way that they always have to be. Don't believe that Earth is dead. Don't believe that it's unhealable. Understand that there are spaces and places where people are working so very hard and giving their entire beingness to support the restoration of balance. And when we come together as a network, when we share our resources, when we share our wisdom, when we share our connections and our understandings and our practices, our medicines, the impact we can have is exponential. And I really believe what Dayadova told us. I really believe that we have risen golden ages before, and I really believe that it's possible for us to do that again. Is that going to happen in my lifetime? Am I going to see the results of that in my lifetime? No. But we can plant the seeds now, and this is when we plant the seeds. Now is when we plant the seeds. And I see those seeds already being planted. I'm already planting those seeds. I know some of you are already planting those seeds. Don't lose sight of the fact that we are part of a broader network. Understand that you are not alone. When we move through our day-to-day existence and normative culture, again, we're getting up, we're getting in our car, we're going to work, we're coming home, we're making food, we're eating with our family, we're doing the same things, we're watching the news, we're listening to podcasts. There's so many reasons to not feel hopeful. There's so much devastating information out there. We can pick and choose what information we want to take in. We can pick and choose what we want to learn about. Do we want to learn about the horrific shit that's happening in our society? Yeah, it's important to know, but can we balance it with a broader understanding of what's happening with our Earth? Can we get out of colonized reality? Can we take ourselves out of colonial society, get an understanding of what's happening in the rainforest, what's happening in the Dominican Republic, what's happening in other countries? Not just the bad, but also the inspiring, also the regenerative, also the beneficial, the healing. We can choose which one we want to magnify. We can choose where we want our energy to go. And I think more important than any of that is we can choose to believe that healing is always possible. We can choose to believe, in fact, that healing is inevitable when the environmental circumstances are provided in a balanced way. And we can be part of creating that balance. We can be part of creating that environment that ends up cultivating healing just naturally. From shifting our consciousness to doing our inner shadow work, to participating in projects to support the ocean, to protecting the rainforest and other land, to healing soil. The list of potential ways to impact are endless. How could we not have hope when there's so much to be hopeful about? And I know it's so often not front and center in our faces, especially for those of us who still have to be plugged into mechanisms of capitalism and colonialism for survival. But I just really want you to hear that message. So I want to just end again by reiterating some of those messages from Dayadova that she has heard from Earth, heard from the planet, as she's tuned into that process of deep listening and then channeling out through her voice what she hears. Earth wants us to know that she is healthy and vibrant. She says not to fear. She says the time to come in closer is now. She says to trust the ground beneath our feet. And that is what I want to leave you with. May you walk in more hope than fear. May you find the spaces and places that set your soul on fire, people that you find inspiring, and may you follow that pull in a way that allows you, in a way that allows all of us to help co-create the healing conditions that we can to support Earth's healing, to support all of our healing. Bring on the golden age. All right, that's all for now. Goodbye, beautiful people. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for resonating. Thank you for believing. Thank you for keeping your hope.